what is my plan when it comes to Jasmy? Well, it's always been the same. I'm still holding, I'm still waiting, and that's all I can really do. But of course, there's more to that because I first want to explain why I'm still holding, right? I also want to explain why I still don't mind, or I'm not concerned, I should say, about the lack of updates when it comes to Jasmy and how there doesn't seem to be that many. I'll explain all of this in today's video, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. Nothing I say is financial advice, and it's just purely my perspective. So let's address the first part. When it comes to Jasmy, people oftentimes like to wonder, well, they don't update that much. Like, what's going on? Now, if we take a look at it, Jasmy is a little bit more of a serious project, right? It's not a meme, so of course, naturally, the updates are going to be less frequent and just not as cool or interesting at times because, there just isn't much going on as of right now when it comes to an amazing, fantastic partnership or something like that. Again, there just doesn't seem to be much going on. But it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it fundamentally, because we have to imagine Jasmy quite recently achieved one of its most monumental milestones ever. Case in point, let's take a look at Jasmy Chain, right? If we take a look at it, in January of this year, Jasmy Chain launched. So actually in 2026, there is something pretty major that happened to this. Not in terms of the price, but in terms of the fundamentals. Why does this even matter? Well, it's because Jasmy Chain is an EVM compatible, or should I say Ethereum Virtual Machine compatible, layer 2 that was built on Arbitrum Orbit. Now, what is Arbitrum, right? Arbitrum is an Ethereum layer 2, historically one of the most popular Ethereum layer 2s, I might add. But I digress. Besides that point, though, we have to consider the native gas token of the Jasmy chain is what? Jasmy. Usually, if a project were to launch a chain or something like that, and their native token for whatever reason was used for gas fees on that, that is typically when the actual real utility does begin. Now, despite that though, people like to say, well, why isn't the price moving much? Well, it's a combination of factors. First of all, the Jasmy chain does not have good adoption as of right now. That's no secret. Also, on top of that, furthermore, in 2026, the market overall wasn't doing the best. So it was a combination of those two things which made it not as impressive. But it doesn't mean that it wouldn't matter eventually, because it may not matter right now, but it could matter somewhere along the line. It's like, for instance, I have a backpack, right here. Am I gonna use it every single day? No, I don't currently use it every single day, but in case I do, I use it. So it's just kind of in case. And when I do need to use it, it really does come in handy. The brand is Air, by the way. It's spelled like AER. I think it's based in San Francisco. They have a store there, though, and also a store in New York. But yeah, besides that point, when it comes to this, my kind of mindset is, when it comes to Jasmy Chain, okay, it may not be the best as of right now. It may not really have good adoption at all. But what happens if the market were to recover and people start caring about that? That's the thing. And again, when I take a look at the quote-unquote lack of updates, it doesn't necessarily concern me, because Jasmy is a project that's focused on data storage. It's a little bit more serious, a little bit kind of more sort of this project that isn't necessarily trying to hype things up like that. That's really not the case. Now, if we take a look at it a little bit farther, though, we'll see that there has been some activity, at least when it comes to the team, I would say, when it comes to Jasmy. Case in point, let's take a look at the CFO of Jasmy, which we all know is Hiroshi Harada. I've talked about him a bunch of times before, but even besides that point, we take a look at, not even that long ago, he revealed something that was quite impressive in my opinion, because guess what? He was at Osaka, Japan not too long ago for an update with something called Panasonic. Ever heard of that? Now, we've already seen Jasmy do something arguably with Panasonic in the past, but we have to consider, the CFO going to Osaka, Japan not that long ago for an update with Panasonic. It may hypothetically showcase not only ongoing things, maybe, but also on top of that, hypothetically, future planned things, whatever it may be. So we gotta let that sink in sometimes. That is just, again, maybe not such a massive thing, but it is a clue nonetheless as to what seems to have been going on when it comes to Jasmy as of late. And also, might I add, not that long ago, Jasmy actually filed for and even registered trademarks for a planned stablecoin called JPYD. We could all let that sink in. That might be one of the things they're working on, because they're not, why would they, file and register for trademarks like that? That would be pretty impressive. Now people like to say, well, who cares about that? Well, again, JPYD is allegedly going to have this heavy emphasis towards the yen, the Japanese yen, right? So it's going to be a little bit different than some of the others that we see. So this is quite impressive in terms of what they're trying to do fundamentally, in my opinion. Now, has it come into fruition yet when it comes to JPYD? Not that I know of, but at least it seems like they might be trying to do things behind the scenes. Not to mention as well, when it comes to Jasmy, it is allegedly compliant in the country of Japan, which was so impressive to the point that it even had the nickname of the Bitcoin of Japan. Not had, I would say. It still has it, arguably. It really isn't, though. I mean, it is not the Bitcoin of Japan, in my opinion, but it's just kind of like a nickname. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like a saying, right? Something like that. And it received that nickname after its strong presence in Japan, and also arguably through becoming compliant in Japan, which showcases just how impressive that is. But I digress, right? When it comes to Jasmy, as of right now, the market cap, it hasn't really moved much. It's still at around 195 million, slightly under that basically at the time of this recording. Let's just assume for simplicity's sake it's 200 million, which it isn't, but it's close to there, and it's just much more simple to calculate based off that. But besides that, did you know that the market cap actually back in December of 2024, so over a year ago at this point, was around 2.2 billion. So we're around 10 times away from that, which is quite surprising in a sense, where that's just how much Jasmy has gone down. Which, is it really a bad thing though? Well, it depends, right? Because I don't mind the quote-unquote dip, so to speak, and Jasmy has reached that point before, and again, going back there is around a 10 times movement. Will it go back there again though? We'll wait and see. But even if Jasmy just went to half of that, so around 5 times away from right now, I'm already going to Sizzler, the restaurant. I'm just saying, because that's just how low Jasmy has gone down. And, $1 billion in terms of market cap is not even really that impressive, really. I mean, back in August of 2025, it was basically at around $1 billion in terms of market cap. August. So just basically around a year ago. That's just how low Jasmy is. But I'm still holding and I'm still waiting nonetheless, because I don't see a real need for me to just randomly leave like that. I still don't mind waiting, and I'm waiting for years anyways. So to me, I have no real need to kind of just leave. Like, for what? Just for fun? I just don't get it. Why would I do that? And if anything, I feel like it's all unrealized to me anyways. Now, of course, if I did leave, I'd realize all of it. But because I don't mind waiting for quite a while, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to wait. That's kind of it. I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait, but I'm just waiting. And especially when I take a look at Jasmy, a project that's focused on data storage, which is quite niche in the grand scheme of things, but I also think that becomes an advantage in and of itself, just because, yes, it is niche, but at the same time, because it's so niche, it doesn't have that many competitors. Like, okay, Filecoin is a competitor. StoreJ, I would say arguably, quote-unquote, was a competitor, but of course, we take a look at what happened to StoreJ Labs not too long ago, right, declaring Chapter 11 bankruptcy, basically, which is unfortunate, of course, but, I mean, StoreJ as a project is still there, but if we take a look at StoreJ Labs and kind of the hypothetical issues it's had, arguably, I mean, that basically is not really such a direct competitor to Jasmy anymore, but I'm just saying still, Jasmy just doesn't have too many competitors. Yeah, it has Filecoin, Arweave, historically we saw StoreJ, right, like I mentioned before. We see something like in the case of Siacoin. Yeah, I mean, there are competitors out there, but it's not too many. So I think it ends up becoming actually a good thing for Jasmy just because it's so niche. Need I also remind people that there is an incubation project under Jasmy called Junction, which is really focused on AI, and it's a layer 2. So overall, I'm just holding, I'm waiting, and that's really about it. That's what I'm doing as of right now. We'll wait and see what happens. But I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward if there is anything that goes on when it comes to Jasmy. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much again for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you all have a very wonderful and fantastic day.